Picture this. You're a third-round NFL draft pick. The franchise has invested in you. The coaches believe in you. And then you step onto the practice field and complete just 3 passes out of 14 attempts. 3 out of 14. While the guy everyone doubted, the 5th rounder with the famous last name, stands on the sideline completing 7 out of 10 with surgical precision. This isn't just a bad day at Browns camp. This is the moment everything changed in Cleveland's quarterback room. And what I'm about to show you will make you question everything you thought you knew about NFL draft politics. Because Dylan Gabriel just handed Shedeur Sanders the keys to the franchise. And he doesn't even know it yet. What happened at Friday's Browns practice wasn't just football. It was a complete exposure of how NFL front offices protect their mistakes at the cost of their future. I've been covering quarterback development for years, and I've never seen a more obvious case of the wrong guy getting the reps while the right guy gets buried on the depth chart. Today, we're breaking down the numbers that prove Shedeur Sanders isn't just better than Dylan Gabriel. He's so much better that keeping him on the 3rd string is borderline criminal. We'll examine the statistical domination, the cultural bias, and why Cleveland's stubbornness could cost them their next franchise quarterback. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this isn't about football anymore. It's about pride, politics, and the NFL's uncomfortable relationship with confident young black quarterbacks. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the numbers that should have every Browns fan demanding answers. Dylan Gabriel's Friday performance wasn't just bad, it was historically awful for a quarterback the team is supposedly developing as their future. 3 completions on 14 attempts. That's a 21.4% completion rate in a controlled practice environment, not against Aaron Donald and the Rams defense, not in a hostile road stadium with 80,000 screaming fans, in practice with scripted plays against his own teammates. But here's where it gets really ugly. While Gabriel was out there throwing passes like he was blindfolded, Shedeur Sanders stepped onto that same field and completed 7 out of 10 attempts for a 70% completion rate, including a touchdown pass that had teammates celebrating like they just won the Super Bowl. The energy shift when Sanders took snaps wasn't subtle. It was seismic. You could see it in the receiver's body language, hear it in the coaches' voices, feel it in the way the entire offense moved with purpose instead of panic. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because Friday wasn't an anomaly. It was the culmination of a pattern that's been building all camp. Shedeur Sanders has completed 50 passes on 70 attempts this entire training camp. That's a 71.4% completion rate that would make veteran quarterbacks jealous. 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 0. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel has thrown 87 passes, 17 more attempts than Sanders, and completed just 51 of them for a 58.6% completion rate. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a growing list of missed opportunities that should have coaches questioning everything. Think about that math for a second. Gabriel has had 17 more chances to prove himself and has exactly 1 more completion to show for it. That's not development. That's desperation. The Browns are force-feeding Gabriel opportunities like a parent trying to convince themselves their kid is good at piano, while the neighbor's child is playing Carnegie Hall. The gap isn't closing. It's widening with every practice. But the most damning statistic isn't completion percentage or touchdown to interception ratio. It's the eye test. When Sanders drops back, there's calmness, precision, anticipation. He's reading defenses like he's been in the league for 5 years, not 5 months. When Gabriel drops back, there's hesitation, panic, and the kind of erratic decision-making that gets quarterbacks benched in high school, let alone the NFL. The tape doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And Friday's practice was just the latest piece of evidence in a case that's already been decided by everyone except the people making the decisions. Here's the dirty secret the Cleveland Browns don't want you to know. They're not running a quarterback competition. They're running a draft investment protection program. Dylan Gabriel was selected in the 3rd round, pick 74 overall. Shedeur Sanders went in the 5th round, pick 164. That 90-pick difference isn't just numbers on a board. It's the foundation of every decision being made in that quarterback room. And it's exactly why the better player is getting fewer reps. This is how NFL front offices operate when they're more concerned with saving face than winning games. They've invested more draft capital in Gabriel, which means admitting Sanders is better would be admitting they made a catastrophic evaluation error. It would mean acknowledging that the quarterback they passed on for 90 picks is actually the franchise player they were looking for. And in a league where general managers and scouts get fired for being wrong about quarterbacks, that's a conversation nobody wants to have. But let's be brutally honest about what really happened in that draft room. The Browns looked at Dylan Gabriel, 5'10", inconsistent mechanics, erratic decision-making in college, and convinced themselves they saw something special. Meanwhile, they looked at Shedeur Sanders, polished, accurate, composed under pressure, with elite arm talent and football IQ, and decided he wasn't worth a 3rd-round pick because of his last name and the baggage they assumed came with it. Now they're stuck. Every practice where Sanders outperforms Gabriel is another reminder of their mistake. Every completion percentage comparison is another indictment of their evaluation process. Every time Sanders leads a touchdown drive while Gabriel throws into double coverage, the gap between their draft board and reality becomes more obvious. So what do? They double down. They give Gabriel more reps, more chances, more opportunities to prove them right, even as he proves them wrong with every throw. This isn't unique to Cleveland, by the way. NFL history is littered with teams that rode inferior quarterbacks longer than they should have because they couldn't admit their draft mistake. Remember when the Jets kept giving Christian Hackenberg chances because they used a 2nd-round pick on him? Remember when the Cardinals stuck with Josh Rosen because they traded up to get him? The Browns are walking down that same path, and they're dragging their franchise quarterback development with them. The most frustrating part is that this can be so simple. Let the best player play. Let competition determine the depth chart. Let results speak louder than draft position. But that would require humility, and NFL front offices aren't exactly known for that quality. Instead, they're choosing to protect their pride at the expense of their future. And every day they wait to correct course is another day they're wasting Shedeur Sanders' development and their own championship window. Now we need to address the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, but everyone can see. Shedeur Sanders isn't just battling Dylan Gabriel for reps, he's battling a system that's uncomfortable with everything he represents. This isn't just about football talent, it's about cultural bias, generational wealth, and the NFL's complicated relationship with confident young black quarterbacks who don't fit their traditional mold. Let's start with the obvious. Shedeur Sanders came into the league with advantages that make some people uncomfortable. He's Deion Sanders' son, which means he grew up around NFL greatness, learned the game from a Hall of Famer, and developed a level of football sophistication that most rookies don't possess. He's financially secure, which means he doesn't need the NFL. The NFL needs him. He's articulate, educated, and carries himself with a confidence that some people mistake for arrogance. And in a league that still struggles with black quarterbacks who don't follow the traditional script of humble gratitude, that's a problem. Think about the narrative that's been built around Sanders since college. He's only successful because of his father. He's never faced real adversity. He's too comfortable, too confident, too entitled. These aren't football criticisms. They're character assassinations designed to diminish his accomplishments and justify passing on his talent. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel gets praised for his grit and determination, despite putting up inferior numbers in every measurable category. This is the same league that questioned Lamar Jackson's ability to play quarterback and suggested he switch to wide receiver. The same league that doubted Russell Wilson because of his height and Dak Prescott because of his school. The same league that consistently finds reasons to doubt black quarterbacks who don't fit their narrow definition of what a franchise player should look like. And now, they're doing it to Sanders, even as he's proving them wrong with every practice. But here's what makes Sanders different from those other quarterbacks. He doesn't need their validation. He's not begging for a chance or grateful for scraps. He knows he's elite. He carries himself like he's elite, and he performs like he's elite. That confidence, that self-assurance, that refusal to play the humble rookie role, it threatens people who are used to controlling the narrative around young black athletes. The result is what we're seeing in Cleveland, a clearly superior quarterback being held back not because of his performance, but because of who he is and what he represents. They're punishing him for being raised right, for having advantages, for refusing to apologize for his success. And every day they keep him on the third string while promoting an inferior player is another day they're proving that talent isn't always enough to overcome bias. The most tragic part is that Sanders is handling this exactly the way you'd want your franchise quarterback to handle adversity. He's not complaining, not demanding trades, not creating drama. He's just showing up every day and dominating, letting his play speak for itself while the adults in the room play politics with his career. Cleveland Browns fans have seen enough, and they're not staying quiet about it anymore. Scroll through any Browns forum, check the replies on team social media posts, or listen to local sports radio, and you'll hear the same message echoing from every corner of the fan base. Shedeur Sanders should be starting, and Dylan Gabriel shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. This isn't just casual fan frustration. This is a full-scale revolt against a front office that's insulting their intelligence. The numbers are so obvious that even casual fans are breaking them down like professional analysts. One viral tweet laid it out perfectly. Sanders, 71.4% completion rate, 6 TDs, 0 INTs. Gabriel, 58.6% completion rate, 3 TDs, 2 INTs. And he's had 17 more attempts. How is this even a competition? That tweet got 50,000 likes and 15,000 retweets, with Browns fans sharing it like it was gospel truth. Because it is! But the fan frustration goes deeper than statistics. Cleveland fans have been through decades of quarterback disappointment. They've watched the franchise draft busts, sign aging veterans, and make desperate trades for mediocre players. They've endured the Johnny Manziel disaster, the Deshaun Kaiser experiment, and countless other quarterback failures. They know what elite quarterback play looks like, and they're watching it happen on their practice field every day, with the wrong guy getting the reps. Local sports radio has become appointment listening, because hosts are getting flooded with calls from fans, demanding answers. Why is Gabriel still running with the twos? How do you complete 21% of your passes and get rewarded? When is Stefanski going to stop playing politics and start playing football? ... These aren't casual questions from fair weather fans. These are passionate, knowledgeable football fans who understand the game and can see what's happening. The most telling sign of fan sentiment is what's happening at training camp practices. When Sanders takes snaps, the crowd energy changes. Fans cheer louder, pay closer attention, and react to every completion like it's a touchdown pass. When Gabriel comes in, there's a noticeable drop in enthusiasm. It's not that fans are rooting against him, they're just not inspired by what they're seeing. And in a city that's desperate for a franchise quarterback, that lack of excitement speaks volumes. Social media has become a battleground where Browns fans are sharing practice highlights, breaking down film, and building the case for Sanders with the passion of defense attorneys. They're creating highlight reels, posting statistical comparisons, and calling out every media member who suggests Gabriel deserves more opportunities. This isn't just fandom, it's advocacy for what they believe is right for their team. The dangerous part for the Browns front office is that this fan sentiment is starting to spread beyond Cleveland. National media members are beginning to notice the disconnect between performance and opportunity. NFL analysts are raising eyebrows at the depth chart decisions. And other fan bases are starting to joke about Cleveland's inability to recognize elite quarterback play when it's happening right in front of them. When you lose your own fans and become a national punchline, that's when front office jobs start becoming available. Here's what the Cleveland Browns coaching staff doesn't want you to know. The locker room has already made its decision about who the better quarterback is. And it's not the guy getting first-team recs. NFL players aren't stupid. They can see talent, they understand the game, and they know when politics is trumping performance. And right now, every veteran in that building knows that Shedeur Sanders gives them the best chance to win, even if the coaching staff won't admit it. Watch the body language during practice. When Sanders drops back to pass, receivers run their routes with urgency and precision. They know the ball is coming on time and in the right spot. When Gabriel is under center, there's hesitation, uncertainty, and the kind of tentative route running that happens when players don't trust their quarterback to deliver. It's subtle, but it's there, and it's telling the real story of this quarterback competition. Veteran players have been in this league long enough to recognize elite quarterback traits, and they're seeing them in Sanders every single day. The way he processes information, the way he anticipates coverage, the way he leads receivers into open space. These are skills that can't be taught, and they're exactly what separates franchise quarterbacks from career backups. Meanwhile, Gabriel is still struggling with basic concepts like reading safeties and throwing with anticipation. The most damaging aspect of this situation is what it's doing to team chemistry. When players see the better performer getting fewer opportunities, it creates resentment and confusion. Veterans start questioning coaching decisions, wondering if merit actually matters, and losing faith in the system. Young players start thinking that politics matter more than performance, which is a toxic message for any organization trying to build a winning culture. Behind closed doors, conversations are happening. Players are talking to each other about what they're seeing on the field versus what they're seeing on the depth chart. They're wondering why the guy who's completing 70% of his passes is running scout team, while the guy who went 3 for 14 gets promoted. These conversations don't stay private forever, and when they start leaking to media members, that's when quarterback controversies become full-blown organizational disasters. The leadership structure is also being affected. In the NFL, quarterbacks need to command respect from day one, and Sanders has already earned that respect through his performance and professionalism. Players gravitate toward him during practice, seek his input on plays, and respond to his leadership in ways that are obvious to anyone paying attention. Gabriel, despite getting more opportunities, hasn't established that same level of credibility or connection with his teammates. The most concerning part for Cleveland's coaching staff should be what happens when this disconnect between performance and opportunity becomes public. NFL locker rooms are notorious for leaks. And when veteran players start talking to reporters about the quarterback situation, the narrative changes quickly. Right now, the story is about. But if players start going on record about who they think gives the team the best chance to win, this becomes a full-scale indictment of the coaching staff's decision-making process. Let's talk about what's really at stake here, because this isn't just about quarterback reps or training camp politics. This is about the Cleveland Browns potentially wasting their best championship window in decades. This franchise has built a roster capable of competing for a Super Bowl, with elite talent on both sides of the ball, and they're about to sabotage it all by playing the wrong quarterback because they're too proud to admit their draft mistake. Look at this roster construction. Myles Garrett is in his prime as one of the league's most dominant pass rushers. Nick Chubb and the running game provide a foundation that can control games. The defense has playmakers at every level who can create short fields and scoring opportunities. This isn't a rebuilding team that can afford to develop projects. This is a win-now roster that needs elite quarterback play to reach its potential. And they have that quarterback sitting on the third string, while they force-feed opportunities to a player who's proven he can't handle the moment. The window for championship contention in the NFL is brutally short. Ask the Seattle Seahawks how quickly a Super Bowl-caliber roster can fall apart when you don't maximize your opportunities. Ask the Carolina Panthers what happens when you waste elite defensive talent waiting for the wrong quarterback to develop. The Browns have spent years building this roster, investing hundreds of millions of dollars in talent. And now they're risking it all because they can't admit Shedeur Sanders is ready to lead them to a championship right now. But the cost goes beyond just this season. Every day they delay Sanders' development is another day they're not building the chemistry and timing that championship teams require. Quarterback-receiver relationships take time to develop. Understanding of defensive concepts and game management skills come through experience. By keeping Sanders buried on the depth chart, they're not just wasting this season, they're potentially setting back his development by years. The most tragic part is that Sanders has already shown he can handle the pressure and complexity of NFL-level football. His completion percentage, decision-making, and leadership qualities are already at a level that most rookies don't reach until their second or third seasons. He's not a project that needs time to develop. He's a finished product that's ready to contribute immediately. And every practice they waste on Gabriel is another practice they're not maximizing Sanders' potential. Consider what happens if they stick with this plan and Gabriel struggles in the preseason games. Suddenly, they're facing the regular season with a quarterback they don't trust, a backup they've barely developed, and a fan base that's lost faith in the coaching staff's decision-making. That's not a recipe for championship success. That's a recipe for organizational chaos. The championship window is also about more than just talent. It's about momentum and belief. Right now, the Browns have a roster that believes it can compete with anyone. But if they start the season with the wrong quarterback and struggle offensively, that confidence evaporates quickly. Players start questioning the system, fans lose faith, and what should have been a championship season becomes another year of disappointment and what-ifs. The most damning aspect of this entire situation is that the solution is so obvious. Sanders isn't just the better quarterback. He's significantly better in every measurable way. The Browns don't need to develop him or wait for him to grow into the role. He's ready now, and every day they wait is another day they're choosing pride over championships, politics over performance, and ego over excellence. So here we are, watching one of the most obvious quarterback decisions in recent NFL history being complicated by pride, politics, and the kind of organizational stubbornness that keeps teams mediocre. Shedeur Sanders has done everything possible to prove he's the better quarterback. 71.4% completion rate, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and leadership that has teammates rallying around him every single day. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel continues to struggle with basic accuracy and decision-making, yet somehow remains ahead on the depth chart because the Browns can't admit their draft mistake. This isn't about development anymore. This isn't about giving players time to grow. This is about a franchise that's more concerned with saving face than winning games. And it's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps organizations stuck in mediocrity. The numbers don't lie. The tape doesn't lie. And Friday's practice was just the latest evidence that Cleveland is playing the wrong quarterback while their future franchise player watches from the sideline. The Browns have a choice to make, and it's going to define their next decade. They can continue this charade, protect their draft investment, and watch Sanders eventually leave for a team that recognizes his talent. Or they can swallow their pride, admit they were wrong about Gabriel, and build their future around the quarterback who's already proving he belongs. The clock is ticking, the fans are watching, and every day they wait is another day they're choosing politics over championships. What do you think? Are the Browns making the right decision by sticking with Gabriel? Or should Sanders already be the starter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from Browns fans, especially about what you're seeing at training camp. And if you think Sanders is getting a raw deal because of his last name and the politics around it, let me know your thoughts on that too. Make sure you're subscribed, because we'll be following this story all season long. And something tells me this quarterback situation is going to get a lot more interesting before it gets resolved. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And I'll see you in the next video, where we'll break down what other teams are watching in this situation and might be ready to make a move for Sanders if Cleveland keeps mishandling his development.